they're going to present a broad overview of the activities of the Institute this morning, with a focus on testing, certification and R&D activities. My own name is Joe Friel. I'm on the steering committee of the IWFMN. I work for GMIT currently on a project is called the Regional Technology Cluster Fund Project, which was jointly applied for by the IWFMN and GMIT, and it's to promote clustering within the industry. Funded by Enterprise Ireland, and just beyond earlier to that, I was 25 years working in industry. So just a few things as an introduction then for today. Just to say a broad thank you to everyone for attending. I know we've got people from right across Europe, so good afternoon to you, the people that have attended us from Europe. I want to say special thanks to Dr. Boris Forschung and Dr. Jasmine Schumacher. I hope I've got that right. Just to mention that the webinar today will be recorded and it can be viewed on our website at a later date, IWFM.ie, as can all of our previous webinars from our series. We would ask you all to keep your mics on mute for the duration of the presentation, please. You can put your questions in the chat function, and we would encourage you to do so from the beginning of the presentation. We'll be monitoring the questions, and we'll have questions. We'll try to get to as many of the questions as we can. Boris and Jasmine will try and address the questions, and anything that we can't address, we are very happy to follow up with email afterwards. We would encourage you to please engage and post questions. And then I just want to take the opportunity to thank our members, strategic partners and supporters for their continued support and for allowing us to be able to bring you this webinar, and indeed the broader amount of services that the IWFMN offer. So just a little bit first, because we've got a lot of new people on the webinar today, and just the IWFMN network supports business and promotes international best practices in wood and furniture sectors by providing a platform to connect, share and learn. And some of the specific services that we're involved in is manufacturing excellence with a focus on circularity and digitization, education, training and career development, sales and marketing and PR development, design, R&D and innovation activities, and I suppose generally promoting cooperation, collaboration and entrepreneurship across the sector. We're currently working on 2 projects which are kindly funded by Enterprise Ireland, one of our state agencies. So there's the Regional Technology Cluster Fund, which I mentioned that I'm working on, and then my colleague Gary Cherry is working on the Border Enterprise Development Fund. That project is primarily focused on the border counties in Ireland in the wood and furniture sector, and both of us might come knocking on your door in the near future, and we'd appreciate your cooperation and assistance to deliver out on those projects. Just a little bit on the specific project I'm working on myself. What we're aiming to do is to develop clusters in the timber frame, wood engineering, offsite and furniture interiors sectors. For those who are not familiar with clusters, clusters are geographical concentrations of interconnected companies, specialist suppliers, service providers, firms in related industries and associated institutions like education providers, standard agencies, trade associations and state agencies. So from that definition you can see it cuts right across education, industry and the state agencies and indeed the broader community. So it's trying to bring everybody together for the betterment of industry. In clusters there's collaboration and competition at the same time. And then there's generally specialization in some fields, like maybe a joint internationalization project, a joint research or innovation project, etc. But the overall aim is to increase productivity, drive competitiveness, innovation and R&D activities, and in addition to internationalization. And also it should be said that cluster activity generally attracts new fundings and would open new opportunities for our industry here. So just in summary, clusters are industry driven, education fueled and government supported. And then just moving on to our presenters from today, Holzforschung Austria. It's been involved in the industry. It's a not-for-profit organization, been involved for 70 years, and it is cutting right across the full wood sector value chain. Their competencies range across wood, joinery and furniture, from wood processing all the way through to applications such as glue laminated timber, windows and multi-story timber construction. The Institute also concentrates on related disciplines such as surface technology, wood preparation, bioenergy, cellulose, fittings technology, fasteners, and adhesive technology. So as you can see there, it's a very broad, it's a big institution. There's about 100 people employed. And I suppose what we're hoping today is that the conversation will spark some ideas across our agencies and our broader industry to get some new research and innovation activity underway. Our presenters today are, as I say, Dr. Boris Forschtuber and Jasmine Schumacher. So Boris is a senior researcher at Holzforschung. His research focuses on novel wood coatings for windows, facades, parquet flooring, for example. He currently leads 2 research projects exploring crack-free wood coating through FE simulation and printed sensors for measuring moisture within wood components. As a member of Holzforschung, his research is applied and innovations are generated in close cooperation with national and international companies and research organizations. Boris is interested in using renewable resources for coatings and to increase the lifetime of wood exposed to weathering. And Jasmine is new to Holzforschung. She has a background in international forestry and soil science and worked for different universities across Europe and Asia. In 2018 and 19, she was based in University College Cork, UCC, where she managed the H2020 research project for them there. Jasmine is interested in how forest-based bioeconomy can best contribute to achieving a climate-neutral Europe. And I suppose in that last point there, I think one of my colleagues, Katrina Power from the Circular Bioeconomy in Kerry, is on the call as well. So it might be useful to have a conversation afterwards. On that note, I will pass you over to Boris and to Jasmine, and I hope you enjoy the presentation.
Yeah, thank you very much, Joe, for this kind introduction. I will just share my screen, just a second. Some troubles here. Joe, I can't get this share button. Now I have it. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you very much for this kind introduction. So as Joe already mentioned, I will show you today the Holzforschung Austria, which was founded in 1948. Thank you very much for this opportunity to show this our institute. We are a non-profit organization.
Boris, sorry to interrupt. We cannot see your full screen.
Okay,
deine Präsentation ist nicht im Präsentationsmodus.
Sorry, maybe I shared the wrong one.
Ich meine, wir haben es schon sehen können, aber halt. Ja.
Okay. So, yeah. Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, yeah. Okay, sorry for that. Yeah. So we, as I already mentioned, we were founded in 1948, so we're quite a while on the market. We are a non-profit organization. We have 2 main locations. The one location is in Vienna, directly in Vienna, in the city center. You can see an image of our institute right there. And we have a second location in Stett in Lower Austria, which where we have the bigger testing facilities. Yeah, the bigger ones that we are not able to have it in Vienna because they're a little bit bigger. Then Holzforschung Austria has 3 pillars of our business. The first pillar is research and development. The second pillar is testing, inspection, and certification. And the third one is information. And we'll show you some details on that and the pillars later on. We have around 100 employees. I think the number of employees is currently increasing, which is good. We had a turnover 2019, a turnover of approximately 8 million euros. And yeah. So for our first pillar, the research and development. So we made about 460 cooperative research projects with the industry. We make projects with small and medium enterprises as well as big companies. We also make individual R&D projects with smaller companies. If, for example, a company has an idea and we would like to develop this further, then they come to us and we help them and assist them with various things that we can offer. We had several coin projects like the Bioupgrade Acoustic Center Austria. And we have a lot of international cooperation with institutes and companies. And we had recently a cooperation with institutes like RISE, which is the biggest research institute in Sweden, with EMPA, which is a Swiss research institute, FCPA from France, TNO from the Netherlands, or also the PRA, the Patent Research Association in the UK. So we do, our second pillar is the testing, inspection, certifications. I don't want to go too much into detail into this slide, but just to give you an idea that we have a lot of testing inspections where we are accredited and authorized. And we have, for example, we have 284 standards and operation procedures for this Austrian federal body. And yes, certifications, quite an important part of our work. We have several certificates, such as the wood products from sustainable forestry for the chain of custody, like the PEFC or the EFC mark. We have construction products marking, which are in line with the European construction products regulation. An important thing is that we have an agreement with just have a look at it. With the British Board of British Board of Agreement, we have a cooperation with them that helps us with this UKCA thing, so we can make testings on our site. And with this cooperation, we are able to certify also things that are meant for the UK market. We also have this for the wood pellets, for the energy, wood energy. We have this EN Plus certification, which there is a high demand for that. Yeah? And we also have some smaller marks like for burglar resistance, windows, curtains, and so on. And our third pillar is about information, training, and education. So we have, of course, a homepage, but we have a lot of technical brochures, which are very popular among our company partners. We also have a magazine, an own magazine, and we have an online detailed catalog, just like the Data Holz EU. And just to give an idea what's in there, I open this web page, and if you are interested, for example, if you are a company that makes timber buildings or something like this, and you would like to invest, have some idea about building components like this external wall, for example. Yeah? So you can click on external wall. It's also in English, as you can see. You can filter these components that are available on the market, like for, you can say, timber frame with MDF as external planking, and you would like to have a certain fire performance from the inside. So we have select exact hits and several similar characteristics. You can click on this exact hit, and you have a detailed building plan of this detail. We have a 3D view of this building component and the cross section, and you have the thermal performance values of each of these components and the resulting values, and also have some variation of the building components if you would like to change something like this. So that's a service that we offer for those of you that are interested in these kinds of things, free of charge, of course. Yeah. Okay, we make a lot of seminars, conference trainings, and training courses. So the Holzforschung Austria is divided into three main departments. The first one is the raw materials and wood-based products department. Second one is construction and engineering. And the third one is wood preservation and bioenergy. There are several working groups with each of these departments. My working group is the surface and furniture department, so I'm an expert on wood coatings, especially for exterior applications. I can give you a general overview of the different working groups of the other departments, but please be aware I'm not know all the details of all these other working groups, but I can give you a broad overview. I will show you just a few examples of each of these working groups, like for the Sawn Timber, for example. So we do a lot of round timber. For round timber, we do a lot of calibration and scanning and process optimizations. One of our tasks that we do, we're dealing with industrial wood, structural timber, of course, with the CE marking. We do the CE inspection, and we do, of course, the chain of custody certification. But we do also research projects in this area. Like just a recent project was the about bark recognition based on a general linear regression modeling. So we combined the data that we got from a 3D scanner and from a color scanner and also from a tracking scanner. And we combined this data and we made the recognition of bark and wood. And as you can see on this slide, we had the scanner data, and then you can see the manual reference data that we manually marked where is bark and where there's no bark, and some ambiguous regions which are gray. And these are the results from the automatic detection. So we were able, with this within this report research project, to develop a new kit, develop a new methodology for this bark recognition. So in the wood-based products working group, we work with the wood products like with beams or with cross-laminated timber. On this slide, you can see the typical testing that we do for finger joints. You can see these finger joints we test we test the finger joints, the glue quality, and things like that. We also test wood-based construction products like the CLT elements, for example. Also some very special construction products like this ceiling. I don't know the English expression for that, but I think you get the idea. So we also do a lot of special kinds of ceilings testing. Yes, and we do a lot of testing dealing with sawn timber, glue timber, and products for construction purposes. We'll work with online quality assurance, microwave technology, and so on and so on. We work with wood-based panels, like for particle boards, for plywood, for fiber boards, medium and high density fiber boards, for example. We also with WPC, with wood plastic composites, which are not very popular in Austria. I don't know how about Ireland. And we also do this quality assessment and emission testings, like for formaldehyde or VOC, so the volatile organic compounds. So we investigate connectors, we approve for glues, and we make diagnostics of structural failures. So for construction engineering, we have this working group dealing with windows and doors. We do a lot of testings for windows, for example. Here you can see some of our testing facilities. Here you can see, for example, there's a special word for this. It's a water tightness test. Yeah, so in this test we do a water tightness test of window materials, but we also investigate metal fittings. The metal fittings for that. For windows, for doors and windows, we make also burglar resistance tests. Here you can see a burglar resistance test of this kind of metal fittings and doors and locks. Yeah. So we make these assessment records, performance capability. We make assessment for Tinger glass components, for vacuum glass. We also work with wooden floors, like the fire behavior or the emissions that are emitted by these floors. We develop new construction types, and we make failure analysis and factory and quality inspections. And just to give you an idea what we do with companies in terms of research projects, there's one specific research project that we did with a small, medium company, so I must say from Austria. It's Katzbeck windows and doors. And together with them, we developed a new window construct. This is a special kind of window that has an included air ventilation. Like for this, we have in winter, we have the cold air that comes from outside, and it is preheated by solar irradiation within this chamber. And this fresh pre-warmed air goes into the interior. Like in summer, there's a switch, and we keep the warm weather, the warm air, keep it outside, as you can see here. Yeah? So that's the concept, and my colleague, it's Julia Bachinger, which is she's currently on maternity leave, but she's the head of the hygrothermics department in our company. So that was some development that we did together with this company in Austria. So another research area is the timber billing. The timber billing research group. Yeah. We do again with quality inspections. We do the European technical assessment, and we help companies evaluate and develop new kind of timber house details, like the windows, sills, connections, facades, components. Terraces, for example, are very popular. We do static tests and also finite element modeling. And we make the assessment of structural components and destructions. So we also help our company partners to increase the level of prefabrication. These are several examples of building components from companies that we work with a high level of prefabrication. And we also do, so this is an example of a company. This is Longin, it's an Austrian medium enterprise. It's a timber housing manufacturer. And together with him, we developed a new system for wood concrete composites. You can see this bending test of this CLT board and this concrete on top of that. And it's again a video. This is my colleague Silvia Polares. She's the head of the Department of Timber Construction. And in this video, which is unfortunately just in German, but on this video, she shows you the development that we did together with this company Longin. It's a high shear resistant wood concrete composite. They show you how they've done it and what's the development, the steps, also about the development steps and so on. Okay. And we do a lot of fire testing as well. So on this slide, you can see a fire protection is a special kind of test. Is just for you to give you an example. This is a window wall, and it has a wall penetration. There's a pipe with a special coating inside, which has it's an intumescent coating. And you can see the fire burning on the other side of this chamber. So this is the wall, the wooden wall, which has a drywall on top of that, and you can see the fire inside the other building components, and you can see the hot area, and you can see the smoke. And after a certain time, this is the wall material, which is, you can see a lot of char because it's burned down, but you can see the hole is filled by this foam, which was from this intumescent coating. So this connection between these two rooms, so to say, was sealed by this new developed coating system. So that's about timber building. Another thing that we do is for building physics, which is strongly connected, of course, to the timber building department. So we do things like fire, heat, moisture, and sound protection. We have an acoustic center, which is quite interesting. You can see we have this acoustic measurement room, so to say, yeah. And with this room, we can put a first floor on top of that, or even an adjacent department as a apartment, so to say, yeah. Oops, sorry, it was too fast. So we are able to use this chamber, this acoustic measurement chamber. We can put a first floor on top of that, and then with that we can investigate the sound insulation properties of some of ceiling elements, for example, of ceiling elements. We can have the same with this adjacent apartment, where we can investigate the acoustics of these wooden walls, or even of wall elements like these sliding doors, for example. In this picture, you can see through this sliding door inside the measurement chamber, and you can see right in the far these measurement devices that we use for sound measurements. We can also measure like with the vibration using laser scanning. Yeah, that's something we do, and it's very unique in Austria. We are the only ones that can do that in that dimensions for wooden building components. We also have a one-to-one test house. It looks like a private house, but it's a test house. We can switch the materials inside. We can switch the windows. We can change parts of the walls and so on, and we can test and investigate these building components right inside the building. We make a lot of accredited test reports and classifications. We can optimize building components and building details for the moisture transfer or something like this. We also do a lot of planning, consulting, and monitoring of multi-story wooden buildings. So in the wood preservation and bioenergy, we'll do a lot of work with wood preservatives. We test the efficacy or efficiency of this kind of substances in accordance with the regulations. We use of chromium-free preservatives. We test different test regimes for prevent stain fungi, like blue stain or something like this. We also have a molecular biology department with tests different kind of microorganisms in terms of their origin or what kind of things they are. We use the PCR technique for that. We also make ecotoxicity tests. So these we measure if, for example, the water or the surrounding soil is polluted by several types of wood preservatives, for example. So we test if there's some problems for the environment, and we make these tests and make the certification for that. We inspect wood damages. We make analysis and pest identification directly on site. And we detect mold and indoor airborne fungus detection. That's something that we always have building owners who have some troubles with fungi, and they want to inspect what's the origin of this fungi and so on. And we do that. So the surface and furniture department is actually where I work here, and we do a lot of things. So we inspect wood coatings for indoor and outdoor applications. We do analysis of wooden surfaces and structures. We make light and electron microscopy. We do a lot of testing and quality assessment of furniture and coatings. So on this slide, you can see a scanning electron microscope, which is quite new. It's our new one, which has a very high resolution. And just to give you an idea, we have this image of this piths of wood tracheids, and we measure this. We make a profilogram, and we 3D printed this surface, and you can see these pits. For example, you can feel the pits that we where we made this picture of, and it's quite a nice toy for us. So we use this just to make some images. You're probably familiar with this kind of drawing. It's quite an old drawing from the 1950s. It's a drawing of softwoods, of the tracheids of softwood with the late wood and the early wood and the pits, and we have the same in hardwood with the large pores. And we made the same with real pictures of this real specimens of softwood. This one is actually large, or birch in this case. Yeah? So we did the same, but with real actual samples. So we use this technique to investigate the anatomy of soft and hardwoods. Like this, you can detect tracheids of a pine, for example. And we use this area that was increased and use a higher magnification. And we can also see these pits, for example. Yes, if we have a very high magnification, we can inspect very different, very specific details of these wooden components. And we use this to make the topography of wooden surfaces. This is a brushed surface of oak, and we can see the depths of these grooves and so on. And this is important information for us, especially if we think of coatings. This is an open pore coating on Meranti, and you can see the pores are not filled completely, and you can see a very low dry film thickness on this edge, for example. These are these kind of things that we are interested, especially in research and development, because we should know that this is kind of a weak spot. We usually have kind of early degradation because of these kinds of weak spots in this coating. This is an example of an open pore coating, but there's also closed pore coatings, for example. We can investigate the quality of this closed pore coating, if there are air bubbles, for example, inside these closed pore coatings, and so on, yeah, which is also a weak spot later on. We do a lot of weathering, accelerated weathering testing. This is typically weathering test, natural weathering test of newly developed wood coatings. This is the natural weathering test, and this is the equivalent artificial weathering test. So we have a testing chambers like these that simulate the accelerated weather that simulates the weathering outside, using UV lamps and spray and at high degrees of humidity and so on. So I'm currently dealing also with very new research projects. This is one of the research projects that I'm currently leading. This one deals with printed electronics. And just to give you an idea, we have this CLT element. And with this CLT element, inside the glue lines, inside the coatings, we print humidity sensors. And these humidity sensors allow us to detect early stages of moisture, how to say, the increase in moisture content that may pose a problem later on. Yeah? So that's something that we currently develop. And we can use this for moisture sensing, but we also can use this, for example, for touch sensing, which is quite interesting if you can think of light switches, for example, some kind of light switches that are integrated into the wall, and this CLT wall is quite a nice thing that could be interesting for future customers. So, and finally, there's this furniture testing. You can see our furniture testing lab, which is rather small, I must say, yeah, compared to other companies. However, our main advantage compared to other companies is that testing facilities, we are very fast. You can do things very fast. You can see on this slide, you can the mattress testing, for example, or this is this furniture testing for office chairs or for office desks and something like this. So we are very, how to say, open to a different kind of furniture. And finally, we have this bioenergy analytical chemistry working group with electrical chemistry. We do the raw material testing, chemical analytics, for example. We see metals, for example, residual metals in woods, and the indoor air quality is a quite important thing for us. So we make indoor air quality measurements like VOCs or leaching, or also formaldehyde emissions. And we detect biocides and heavy metals and VOCs. And just to give you an idea, we have a project together with this company in Austria. It's called Holz. It's reclaimed wood. I hope it's the right expression, yeah. But this company uses this reclaimed wood to make new furniture out of it. Yeah? It's a medium enterprise, and it's very important for them that there are no harmful substances inside these wooden components. It's very important for them, and we do the testing for them to look into the components that they are free of, that they are heavy metal free, and things like that. And no harmful substances are emitted. And we also do bio-based solid fuels. One big part is the pellets, of course, yeah, where we do also this EN+ certification. And we also have this biomass technology center where we can make quite several tons of different raw materials. It's quite heavy on research and development. We use new materials for the production of these pellets. We also increase, for example, the properties of these pellets. Like we recently developed a process where we coated these pellets with lignin fraction to increase the abrasion resistance, for example. So it's quite a new development and quite successful. So that's about it from me at Holzforschung Austria. And I thank you very much for your attention and forward to Joe. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Boris. Thank you very much for that. I'm just going to reshare my screen here. Just give me 2 seconds. And okay, I think. Okay, we're good again. Okay, so Boris, thank you very much. We have a saying here in Ireland, there's one for everyone in the audience, and I think that's kind of fitting from your presentation there, because you've covered so much material, and I think there probably is something for everybody there. like some fascinating projects that you're working on. I'm specifically interested in doing with the window technology and the heat exchange. It's just amazing what you're doing in relation to that. So we have a couple of questions, and I'm just going to have to actually flick back out now to get the questions. But again, bear with me for a second. So one of the questions that has one question that has come in now. Just trying to get back out to the questions. I'm going to have to stop presenting. Okay. Juan has asked a question here. Wood concrete composites, does it behave better as acoustic barriers? Is it a common issue that a CLT slab does not comply with acoustic regulations by itself?
It's a difficult question. It's a very specific question. I'm sorry. Sorry, I can't answer that, but I can forward you to my colleague, which are experts in that, of course. Yeah. So if you can give me the question right away, can send me an email. I will forward your question quite to my expert colleagues, if that's okay for you.
Okay, we'll follow up with that. Juan, you can follow up with an email, or you can send us an email, and we'll get that question answered for you. And Jerry here has a question. Does collaboration with the British standards give you their stamp approval also on your products?
Yes,
so
it does, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It does, okay.
So we have this agreement. So we have this agreement with this British Board of Agreement, yeah. And that's why it works, yeah. Okay. It depends, of course, on the products, what kind of product you are talking about. Yeah, if it is Windows, then our window working group is doing that. Otherwise, another department will take care of that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Thanks, Boris, for that. And then Jerry, just as a follow-on question here, I know he's working on a new material himself called Modulite, which is in R&D at the moment. And I think what he's trying to do is, I mean, I suppose he's kind of making the point that testing and certification requirements are kind of never-ending, and what would it kind of cost from one end to the other end? And I know it's probably a difficult question to answer. Maybe it's something that Jerry could take up with you directly, but maybe if you could even give us some kind of a feel for a typical product, what the testing and certification cost, and what the process and what the timeline might be.
And it depends strongly on the type of product that you are testing, would like to test. Yeah, I can just give you some ideas of our testing that we do in the wood coatings department. That's something I can give you. So to say, we have this natural weathering testing. Just to give you an example. I have to look it up. Sorry. So this natural weathering, for example, is around 1,000 euros, something like this. Yeah. So testing for a new coating product during outdoor weathering, natural weathering. But it heavily depends. The timing and the price depends heavily on the kind of testing that you are interested in. Yeah. So I can't give you a general idea for that. Sorry.
No problem, Boris. I see Jasmine has put in her details there in the chat. So obviously, I know if maybe Jerry might be best just to take that up one directly. And sorry, if Jerry, if anybody wants to come off mute, and if they have any questions at this stage, please do take yourself off mute and come in. Or if you just want to put up your hand, that'd be great. I have a couple of other questions here as well. So how do you engage with industry and universities for new research and innovation activities? I suppose the idea is, where do the ideas originate? Do they originate in the industry, or do they originate in the university, or is it research? Is it research funding driven, or where do these ideas come from? So, for example, like your window technology one there, where the heat exchanging was, like where did that idea originate?
We do a lot of inspection of, for example, this specific example. We do a lot of inspection and testing with windows, yeah. And there's a close cooperation always with the companies. We're in close contact with these companies, and just by talking to each other, they came together up with this idea, this new idea. In this specific case, yeah. Usually, even the very small companies have their own ideas, and they come to us. The small companies, the medium enterprises, or for this research institutes, we usually come up with new ideas ourselves. Yeah, usually we see some defects that we often see, for example, during our inspection, something like this, or we were in close contact with coating companies, for example, and we talk to them what's the main issues that they have. And we try to get a new research project based on their requirements or their demands that they have. Yeah? So we listen to the industry and we try to make a collaborative research project out of it.
Okay, excellent. And well, that's it. Just in terms of that window project, is that fully commercialized? Then is that on the market now?
It's on the market, yeah. That's
it's
on the market.
Okay, yeah. And in terms of that process from doing the research to taking the product to full commercialization, do you assist the companies in that process as well?
Yes, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Also with the testing and certification later on, yeah. So the whole process.
Well, sometimes, you know, we do certain like projects for certain companies itself, but also sometimes, you know, for the whole branch, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's also that, you know, that we generate results then for many of those companies so that they can use them and then develop them further, you know, with national funding, of course, you know.
Yeah.
Which is
okay.
On that.
And would some of your projects then attract European funding? European project.
Yes, we do. We always try to get new European funding from that to European research, like they mentioned research institutes like the TNO, for example, or the Swedish companies or the RISE. We try to make this new European funded research projects. Yes, we always.
It's. Yeah. I mean, because we focus on applied research. No, I mean, we don't do any fundamental research as such. But anyhow, but currently, for example, we are like writing on a Horizon Europe proposal. So hopefully you are getting into the new framework with that. But no, we are always open and we're always looking for like European connections then as well, you know.
Okay, excellent. And then I have another question here. What trends are you currently seeing in the kind of in the broader wood materials sector? You know, I suppose maybe more specifically in the use of wood materials as a construction material. What are you seeing any kind of new? I suppose particularly with the kind of with the whole sustainability agenda and circularity. Are you seeing any new materials are you seeing hitting the market, or are you seeing any trends in that area?
Well, I would say for that, I mean, like what we're talking in Austria, also in Germany as such, is for hardwood, of course, for hardwood for building purposes, you know, because we had like all these problems with the spruce, no, as well the damaged woods in the past. So and also with climate change, no, and with the reorganization of forestry itself. No, so we are looking into, and that's also a few projects we're hopefully soon going to start, you know, like which kind of like hardwood can you actually use and get certified as well for building purposes. And another thing as well, I mean, that's a European trend as well, no, for like reusage of wood, no, like whether, I mean, Boris was talking about that before, no, just like how can we actually not, you know, turn this value chain, you know, into a value circle as such, no, I mean, as well with a whole new like renovation wave, which is being initiated by the European Commission, you know. So we're trying to get like into that direction as well, and which is also like fairly new, like within the Austrian context as well, you know. So yeah, hopefully we'll make.
And there's also this trend to replace fossil fuel-based components like the coatings or the adhesives by bio-based alternatives. That's something that we work a lot on.
Okay,
like
interesting.
Bio-based coatings and so on. Yeah.
You mentioned that company just in relation to that point. Holz, or is it Holz? So are they're in business? Are they a relatively new company? I mean, so they're using kind of reclaimed wood or wood that has been used somewhere else, and producing furniture.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And are they in business? Are they companies in existence for a long time, or is this a relatively new kind of?
No, what I've heard, so this product is relatively new, but the company is it's a tradition. How to say? Traditionsbetrieb, yes.
Okay, yeah.
You know, traditional, yeah,
okay.
something, yeah.
Okay, and then I just have another question here, last one from me. If there's anybody else has questions, please continue to post them in the chat there. I have a question, and as I say, if anybody wants to come off to speak, please do. There's a question here, just a general question somebody sent me in beforehand. We have a kind of a materials shortage issue, I suppose, which is kind of well known. It's right across Europe at the moment, but we'd just be interested to kind of get your views of what's the situation in Central Europe, and have you been hearing much about material shortages within the, I suppose, the wood, furniture and timber construction sectors?
Yes, of course. I mean, it's like you said, it's all over Europe now. I mean, we experience the same problems here with like on construction sites, you know, they got to wait a lot of time, you know, as well, and like commercial construction site as well as private ones, and prices, of course, prices have been going up.
That's true.
As well. Yeah, so it's not. I mean, the wood we are getting out of Austrian companies, it's Austrian forest is quite steady. But still, we get, like what I said before as well, you know, got a lot of the damaged backwood, you know, as well. But yeah, like I said, I think just the shortage is a definite problem as well. Also for us in research, just like working together with companies and trying to get, you know, material as well from them, you know, because in the corporations we have, it's you know, it's volatile, so I don't know dynamic, you know, so I don't really know where it's going.
Yeah, no, look, we'll watch the space. Just that's the questions that I have. If anybody else has a question there, please come in now.
Joe, will you look
Joe, can you hear me?
Michael, yeah, go ahead, Michael. Yeah.
Yeah, no, just to clarify, I think, Boris, that was a very interesting presentation. Thanks for that. And I think, Boris, you showed us the furniture testing area and mentioned it was quite small. But can I just ask, in terms of strength and stability for timber furniture or seating products, do you provide those services?
Yes, we do, yeah.
You do, so strength and stability is covered. And in terms of your coatings and the bio end replacing the fossil, do you can then advise companies and or refer them or provide alternative coatings? Did I understand that right as well?
Yeah, that's a little bit of a tricky part, because we can specifically recommend a certain brand. That's something we cannot do. Yeah,
You do, I understand.
because,
Okay.
yeah,
So it's just independent.
yeah, but we can give you general advice. That, of course, yeah.
Fantastic. No, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Michael. Anybody else want to come in there?
I'd like to ask approximately the cost of testing 1 hour fire doors.
Sorry, I didn't get it quite. Could you help me, Joe?
Sorry, Boris. I wonder, could you tell me the approximate cost for testing 1 hour, half hour, and 1 hour fire doors?
Yeah,
Yeah,
not that talk. I have to look at have to look it up. Sorry, yeah, but I can give you that later on if you like.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you very much.
Okay, excellent.
One further one, Joe, there, please. On the CLT, do you find that you have a growing requirement for testing CLT?
Absolutely, yeah. There's quite a growth on those specific elements, the CLT elements, yeah. So because of this European Bauhaus initiative, everybody is talking about wood building. Even architects that never used wood as a building material, now they think of this new products of the CLT elements. They like it very much because of this high degree of prefabrication. And we see a growing demand for these products, and there's also the testing demand is also increasing. Yeah,
I think that's very, very interesting. I believe this is a direction we have to take.
That's true, yeah.
Thank you, Boris.
Thank you.
Okay, just like to invite any last questions, before we close up.
Well, I have one further question, if I may. Sorry, Boris, I'm hogging it. Do you do much testing for other countries, if you like, across Europe?
Yes, of course we do, yeah. Especially if you have the building components, for example, yeah. That's a lot of European companies that we do testing for them, yeah. Especially if they want to go to the European market or to the Austrian market, then we do the testing usually in Austria for them.
And therefore, your certification is accepted as valid across the EU.
Yes, across the EU, of course, yeah. Yes, it is.
And how about the US?
Maybe Jasmine, there is something, but I don't know exactly. I have to refer to my more specialized colleagues for that. Yeah. So, for example, the CLT elements, there's a lot of export for the CLT elements in the US market. And I know that something that they do something for that in our house, yeah, but I'm not familiar to the specifics.
Yeah, no, I understand that. That's not...
But they do something for that, yeah.
Thank you, Boris.
Thank you.
Okay, any last questions there before we close? Okay, so if you have any further questions for Boris, Jasmine, or indeed for ourselves, please just drop us an email at info@iwfm.ie, and we'll make sure it gets addressed and followed up. I would like to thank Boris and Jasmine for a very insightful presentation today. Thank you for your time. A lot of very high-end knowledge there. I think hopefully it just kind of stimulated some ideas for people. I mean, that's the idea of the presentation, and just to show the work that you're doing. And as I say, thank you very, very much for that time. I also want to thank everybody for attending today. I know we have some people from right across Europe, and we have a lot of people here from the Irish industry, which is really encouraging, and thank you. And again, final thank you to our continued supporters, strategic partners, and our members who allow us to make these things happen. So on that note, we'll close, and as I said, if you have any questions, yeah, please feel free to follow up. And thank you very much. Bill, would you like to come in and say a few words before we close?